Hey, what's up everybody? Jump in here, and today I'm actually going to be showing you my ultimate Siren build. Now I'm doing a let's play of the new DLC, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep, and in those videos I'm using my Siren. So I decided, let me go ahead and make a video with my build before people start asking me, hey Jumpin', you should show the build that you use in those videos. Here you go. Now, you should definitely go check out the Let's Play of that DLC because for one, it's funny as hell, and for two, the DLC is great. So, it's really good. Now, anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this. So we're gonna start with Cataclysm, one of my favorite trees that she gets. I mean, she gets so many good skills, and the Siren is probably considered to be the best in the game, or one of the best in the game. It really depends on who you ask, but yeah, she's really good. Now, this is an offensive version of a build, so that's the way I like to play with her. If you like to be a medic and heal people and all that, by all means, you should do that. But for me personally, I like to play offensively and just dominate everyone. And there's a lot of benefits to it as well. If you watch the Let's Play, you'll kind of see like what I can do to help the team. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing you might be wondering is Flicker. Why no points into Flicker? Now, if you really wanted to, I would say you could probably put 1 point into this, but there's a problem. You have to understand how this actually works. And this goes for any skill like this, elemental chance skill. Now, it says that if I wanted to put a point into this, I can get 36% more likely chance to cause elemental effects with guns. Now that sounds awesome, right? But it's really just confusing. A good example of this is, let's take a look at the Social Bitch. Now there's an 11% chance pretty much to ignite an enemy on fire. So that 36% would actually go into that 11%, meaning that the actual increase is so minor that you really wouldn't even notice a difference. Now, if you're talking about something like a rocket launcher, 50%, or a sniper rifle, which is 50%, then yeah, I mean, if you want to max out Flicker, that would help these kind of guns because I think it goes up to like 70%. 70% into 50% is like, a good increase. But with normal guns, like with 12%, 13%, 11%, you're not going to see a difference. And that also goes with your badass rank. I wish I can go back in time and never ever pick elemental effect chance because it is kind of a waste once you understand how it really works. So keep that in mind, guys. It's very important. So I don't go for any points into this just because of that one reason. Now moving over to Foresight, it gets the benefit of the legendary class mod. It gives me magazine size and reload speed, so I max that out. Helios, I like it because when you phase lock an enemy, they explode with fire. So I put 5 points into that. 5 points into this because this is actually really good. A lot of people don't go for this, but when you go down and fight for your life, your bullets will do 50% damage of fire, or I don't really know how to explain it. But believe me, the amount of damage or extra damage that you can actually do when you go down is insane. So you should actually definitely go for this. I go 1 point into Cloud Kill. It's just really good. Acid, extra damage, all that. And I go 4 points into Backdraft. Now, I'm not a big fan of this, to be quite honest. It's kind of like a Nova Shield. So, I mean, it's really up to you. The problem with me is that I use the Unkept Herald on this build. I don't have the Sandhawk. I don't even have the DLC to get the Sandhawk. If I had the Sandhawk, I would probably go for Chain Reaction. Now, I'm pretty confident that with this, the Uncapped Herald, for example, doesn't get the benefit. So if that's the only gun I'm really using 90% of the time, I really don't see the point to go for this. But then again, if you have a Sandhawk or if you don't use like the Herald, yeah, this is actually pretty good. Problem with Backdraft is that you kind of need to be close range. Obviously, melee attacks, which on Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, you don't want to be meleeing all that much outside of a Psycho. And the whole Nova Shield thing, it's just not that powerful, to be quite honest. Moving down to Reaper. Now, Reaper is amazing. Basically, the way it works is that you get 40% more gun damage for any enemies who have 50% of their health remaining. So, I mean, that's just really good. This will always benefit you. Um, it benefits you so much all the time, so it's a really good skill. Moving down to Blight Phoenix. Now, I don't go any points into this. Reason for that is because I really don't see the point. The problem I have with Blight Phoenix is that, once again, I need to be super close range. Same with Backdraft. The difference is that with Backdraft, if something comes up and melees me, and let's say I lose my shields and then I do a Nova explosion, that's pretty good, honestly. With this, I have to constantly get close to the enemies if I want the effect. Which, with a Siren, with pretty low health, I don't want to get close. I want to kind of stay a little bit further back and do damage and all that kind of good stuff. So keep that in mind. That's the reason why I do not recommend Blight Phoenix, although it is really good. It's really good on True Vault Hunter mode. It's really good on Playthrough 1. But on Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, I am just not a fan of it. The final one is Ruin. Really amazing. I mean, when you phase lock something, you slag them, you electrocute them, you set them on fire with acid or whatever. It is just really good. The slag is the most important one, though, and that's kind of the idea of this build. And it really helps your teammates when you are able to slag every enemy. When I say every enemy, I mean every enemy with just this one Siren. So everyone doesn't really have to worry about slag because of what I'm doing. Now for the middle tree, I go 1 point into Mind's Eye. It's really great. I mean, I love this skill in general, but I only put 1 point because of the class mod. It gives me critical hit damage and melee damage. Don't really care about the melee damage, but the critical hit damage is amazing. And I put 3 points into Sweet Release, which I'm sure some people are going to be like, I don't really want to do that. And if you don't want to do this, by all means, put it into Mind's Eye. But to me, I like it because this will help me get my health back if I'm playing by myself. And this will also help my teammates out if they need some health back. Because believe me, I kill so many enemies in phase lock. That's kind of the point of the build. Is that either I'm going to kill the enemies in phase lock, or my teammates are going to kill enemies in phase lock. And every time we do that, we're going to get these orbs that's going to give us health back. So that's kind of the idea here. Moving over to this tree, Motion Tree. I really like this tree if you can't tell. Ward is amazing. Shield capacity and the recharge delay, minus 80%. Amazing. Accelerate, I really like Accelerate. Gun damage and bullet speed. Now the gun damage is always good, but the bullet speed is amazing. And I really like it for the Herald, for example, because it really does help when you're using a gun like that. Moving down to Suspension, just gives you phase lock duration. Very important. The longer they're phase locked, the better chance you're going to have of killing them. Next up's Converge. This is great. It's kind of like a singularity effect. It sucks them in. And when you suck them in and you have Ruin here, guess what? Everything in that area is going to get slagged. So that's pretty much the idea. Quicken, it just gives you phase lock cooldown, 30%. Very good. So definitely go 5 points into this. And then the final one is Subsequence. Now this is crazy good, especially when you combine it with Ruin. Basically, every time I phase lock something, if I can kill it, that phase lock is going to go and seek out a new target. So what that means is this. If I kill an enemy, and it slags, well, basically, if I phase lock an enemy, it's going to slag all the enemies and suck them in. If I kill the enemy, or if my teammates kill the enemy, that phase lock is going to go and find a new target, which will probably slag a whole nother group of enemies. So basically, this is what allows me to slag everything on the battlefield, and it is really, really good. So definitely love that skill. Alright, so that's pretty much the actual skills and all that kind of goodness. Now the guns. Now I don't have a lot of DLCs in this game, so I use like a White Death sniper rifle, very good. Sit back, shoot him in the face. I don't really use the social bitch. I just had this equipped to kind of show you what I was talking about with flicker. But generally, I would recommend using something like the Ruby, or there's a new gun that came out in the DLC that's amazing, and it's pretty much a Ruby on crack. So keep that in mind. If you can get that gun, use that gun. If not, use some type of Ruby. Only just because that is how you're going to be able to get your health back easily. I use the double penetrating uncapped herald. This is my main gun. just because I don't have the Sandhawk. If I had the Sandhawk, more than likely I would use the Sandhawk. So that's just the way it goes. Then I use some type of Norfleet. Right now I have a Slag Norfleet on. Sometimes I'll use a Fire Norfleet. It doesn't really matter which Norfleet you use. The point of this is just to get yourself up. If you go down, you simply just pull out your Norfleet and you shoot and you get up. So pretty easy. Now I use honestly I have the Sham on right now, but I also do use the B at times, to be honest. I mean, you kind of feel like a cheap ass if you're using the B, but yeah. With the Siren, it's so easy to actually use this shield because of all the massive the recharge delay. I mean, you will always have your shield coming back. And with the B, that's amazing, obviously, because you'll get it back really quick, and then you'll shoot the enemies, and they'll die, and they'll die, and they'll die. And when you phase lock them, you actually de-aggro them. Not only does the phase lock enemy stop shooting you, obviously, but if everything gets sucked in, then they'll actually be de-aggroed and not attack you anymore. So it gives you a better chance with the B to get the effect and all that nice stuff. So like I said, the B, the Sham, those are the two shields I would probably recommend the most. Homing Stormfront, I use a whole bunch of grenades, Fire B, Stormfront. It really doesn't matter which kind of grenade you really want to use. So just keep that in mind. Legendary class mod, it's amazing. Definitely use the legendary class mod. And finally, the Sheriff's Badge. I use it because I use the Herald so much. Now, if I wasn't using the Herald, I would probably use a Blood of the Ancients. Probably one with, like, let's say, shock damage. Because if I had a Sandhawk, I would probably use an electrical Sandhawk. And that would give me shock damage and also power cooldown. So, I mean, that's really good. Power cooldown, shock damage, and an electrical Sandhawk is a great combination. But like I said, if you are going to use a Herald and you don't have the DLCs, the Sheriff's Badge is your best way to go. Alright guys, so this is going to be some gameplay with my ultimate Siren. And pretty much the way you want to play with it is you phase lock and shoot. It's a very simple concept, but what's great about it is just, well, it's amazing offensively. Subsequence is just so awesome, and when you combine that with Ruin, you're talking about some ultimate slag potential. I mean, every time it goes and it phase locks an enemy, I think it takes about 1 second or a half of a second to actually slag them. Because sometimes it might not slag them if it's like literally, if it picks them up for like not even half of a second. But generally, you will slag that enemy and any enemy in the radius of it. And because of like Converge and all that, yes, like right there, you just seen that. It will suck them in and slag them. Now, one thing I love about this build is all the de-aggro potential. Now, if you don't know what de-aggro means, it means that you're able to make enemies not aggressive towards you. Now, obviously with phase lock, that's 100% de-aggro. The enemy cannot attack you, he cannot move, all that nice stuff. But Converge is really good too about that. And here's a good example. Like, there's been times when I'm playing with like some teammates or some friends, and let's say an ultimate badass psycho was about to melee them. Now, they would have probably died if he got that melee off. But because I face locked another enemy that was somewhat close, he converged into the face lock, basically meaning that he got sucked in. And it's just funny because like I've heard my teammates going, "Oh my God, your phase lock just saved my life," like because they would have died if they would have been meleeed. But that suck in effect, that singularity effect, just will save you so much. So it's really good. Like, you know, a great example of this is that if there's a group of 4 or 5 enemies and I face lock one of them, they'll all be sucked in for about, so basically for about 2 seconds, because I believe it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds for the enemies to recover from Converge. They will not attack me, so that is amazing. Another thing I really like about using the Herald here, like the Herald is my favorite gun. Like I said, if I had the Sandhawk, I would maybe consider using that, but the Herald is really good with this build just because what you can do with Converge, all the enemies are going to be like pretty much clustered together. And when you're using something like the Herald, which is almost like a shotgun because the bullets come out horizontal like, yeah, you will hit almost every one of those enemies with some shots. And because they're all slagged, you can potentially just kill them all. And of course, if you really want to just be crazy, you can phase lock, suck them all in, shoot a Nort fleet into the middle of all of them, and they'll probably all die. So it's really good. Same with grenades. You can pretty much phase lock, suck them all in, throw a grenade, and they'll all die. So there's a lot of great things you can do with this offensive build. Now, if you're a person and you like to play as a medic, this is not the build for you. But my friend Doodlebud, he uses a Siren medic build at level 61, and I came up with that build as well for him. So if you really want me to, I am willing to post another ultimate Siren build for a medic build. A teammate, healing, raising up, all that good stuff, if you really want to see something like that. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see that. But yeah, so like I said, this build is a lot of fun. It does help your team a lot because you are able to slag everything, which is always good. And yeah, you de-aggro enemies, you set everything on fire, you corrode them, you electrocute them. It just does some really amazing stuff. But besides that, honestly, you should like this video for me and also favorite it. Subscribe if you haven't. And you should actually check out my Let's Play Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep. It's really funny and the DLC is great. I hope you guys have a nice day and peace out!